can't hear you. Okay, hold on. Let me go back to your page so I
We
can
live.
share. We live. All right. Let me see. Get this party started. I'm trying to, did you put it on your Tamira Bell business page or another page? Here we go. I see it live.
Okay, you said awesome.
Are you live on your Instagram platform?
No, this system don't do that.
Oh, okay. It's all good.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the Instagram. I don't know.
I hardly use it.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
trying to get in. I'm trying to get into Instagram. I really am, but it's
I think it's a lot.
I'm comfortable with Facebook.
Yeah. My daughter says Facebook is for the older people. I'm like, that's fine. Say what you want. I think you have to be able to figure out which platform you want to master.
Yeah,
And you'd end up going crazy trying to master all the platforms. That's just my opinion. Um, so you have to do what works best for you.
right. I definitely believe that we should master certain platforms instead of trying to be everywhere.
Yes.
Because some people that's on Instagram that have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers, they're not successful on Facebook. Probably a while ago, I looked. It was someone that has a huge following, probably almost a million on Instagram. So, I was like, you know what? Let me see what is, you know, how they look on Facebook, and no, their following was horrible. So you have to just say to yourself, which platform do you want to master? And yes,
Mhm.
I do believe a lot of young people are on Instagram, but now that you got TikTok and you got Reels, I think Reels are just the new thing.
And that's what I have to. I can't say master, but I need to participate in more. I would rather
Right.
words and encourage you, but I'm finding now people like to see you, hear you, so they can like, know, and trust you. So I'm gonna have to put some makeup on and a cute top and do the
Girl, let me tell you. So the makeup part, I'm not really a makeup person.
uh,
I'm comfortable with my, but I'm learning that when you do put yourself in front of a camera and stuff, you need to, you know, you need to do that because that's the impression that you're giving. And you
right,
got to know how, what's going to make a person stop. And I tend to tell people think like a consumer because you are a consumer, just not in your industry. So, what
correct,
makes you stop when you're on social media, when you're watching reels? What makes you stop? And so, when I'm doing reels now, at first, when I first started, I was posting a lot of stuff about my business. And then one day, I just so happened to be in the car and I was like, let me do a reel. And I just said, I encourage you, I do this, da da da, da, and 15,000 views. And I was like, okay, what? Because people want real life things. They
and
want that.
too.
They, yeah, they want that moment. And even though we're entrepreneurs, they want to see
You.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what we have to understand too, I think that not even I think I know because I've been at this for a minute. When we find something that we believe in, we want everybody else to believe in it. We think everybody else should think it's the best thing since sliced bread. And you got people who can't even afford eggs, and so they would be more interested. Would they be more interested in you pushing your book or you telling them that there is hope for tomorrow? Those are two
Come
totally
on.
different things. Or even if you in there as an entrepreneur, like I don't care how much money is in my bank account, $8, 9, 10, $11 for a carton of eggs is crazy. That way, that person feels like they can, you know, um, they can see things from your viewpoint and you guys both have the same type of viewpoint. If you're sitting on socials, I think that's why a lot of young people like Instagram. If you're on socials and you're just posting all of your wins,
Right.
somebody not winning may not be interested in seeing that.
And I also think that a lot of times people actually believe that, you know, if that's the only part I'm supposed to show. But the truth is, I think a lot of people are getting, I'm not gonna say hurt, but
Mm,
they're having those disappointing moments because when you're on social media and the only thing you see is this person winning all the time, when you do go into the entrepreneurship, arena, your mindset is, okay, this is why they're winning, not realizing, no, that is not why they're winning. And
yeah.
so I've learned, because I work with a lot of new entrepreneurs, where you have to know your why. Your
Hmm.
why is the most important piece of the puzzle. That why can be like, we're talking legacy. It could be building that legacy, but also you have to know who you are. That
Yeah.
is also important. You got to be honest with yourself and say, I got a problem being lazy. And
Hmm.
something that I tell entrepreneurs is you got to get out of that employee syndrome. What do I mean? Employees, and it's two ways for this. It's two ways for this. You can have the employee syndrome where you are clocking in on time, right? You're doing your punctual, you're getting your job done, you're doing all of this, right, as an entrepreneur. Or it can be a downfall for you because you have the employee syndrome and you're waiting for someone to tell you what to do.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And a lot of entrepreneurs that don't have background in entrepreneurship or someone telling them or talking to them about entrepreneurship, what happens is it causes them to realize in that moment, maybe I should have never left my job. Because one of the things I tell people is faith is important. Yes, have faith. I believe, but prove
Mm.
to yourself that you're an entrepreneur first if you don't have an entrepreneurship background. And how do you prove that? You replace your income. That's how you prove that you're an entrepreneur. Because if you don't and you leave your job, you can get that. It can be discouraging. You can be disappointed because you ain't got no money coming in. And that's the part you're not seeing on social media. That's the
Yeah.
part you're not seeing. That it's a time and a place for it.
Well, I'm learning as someone who has been an entrepreneur for 17 years, but also who had her good government job, who also grew up middle class, and that we were told go to college, get a good job, get your degree, get a good job, retire from those things. Like, my heart goes out to that young lady who sat in her cubicle like I did 12 years ago, somewhere at a crossroads between I need to have this good government job, or not even government, this good job, period, that makes everybody on social media feel proud, my mama and them, my neighbor and them, because look, I'm dressed up to go to a Fortune 500 company, or look, I'm dressed up to go help work for the Department of Defense. She or he still may have had that thought that I want to own a business. And just like this Fortune 500 company, or just like the Department of Defense, I want to scale and understand organizational management. And I'm not going to retire from here. Those people may be a little confused. And as I'm walking in my season of finding out exactly who in the world Shamika Menacee is, I want to submit to them that it's okay. Um, you can write down your visions and stuff. And if you believe in like us, because this is a Christian platform, God, I don't know where I'm supposed to be, but it ain't here in this cubicle retiring for 30 years. Show me who I am and what I'm supposed to do, so that if I walk out on faith and I quit my job with no money, or if I walk out on faith and I don't start a job and I say, I want to be the person who gives the jobs, show me how best to move. I
Right.
think that a lot of times it's so many things, and not that all of the information that you just spoke was not true, but people get caught up in that. And I don't like when, not that you did it, but entrepreneurs who are telling people that they shouldn't work a job and all of these things. Um, that makes no sense.
Right.
If you work a job and you can understand how organizational development goes, then do that and take notes so that you can know who best to be when you decide to go off on your own. Whether you're a solopreneur and you're just working yourself, or you're hiring people. And then as we talk about legacy building looks different for everybody. My
Yes.
legacy will be that I show my children, my nieces and nephews, that I did not give up. Sometimes your why has to be connected to a source, something other than yourself. as I learned in network marketing, your why should make you cry. Well, nothing makes me cry more than knowing that my kids will stand up and be blessed, and so will my brother's kids and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law's kids, because they'll see something different from myself. That is, she didn't give up. She understands corporate America. She understands government, and now she's doing her own thing. So I had to. My point is, I guess, to bring it home is to, if you are in that season of, I'm working this job because I have this degree and these credentials or this trade, but I also want to see what it looks like to put myself out there and become the next Shamika Menacee. Because I don't want to be you, and I don't want to be McDonald's, and I don't want to be Boeing, just me. God
Right.
shows you what that is and how best to do it. And so when you're going back to your why, which for me or the kids behind me, I'm building that legacy because the people in front of me, they did the best that they could. And if they didn't, they did what felt comfortable. So it's not about me continuing to pass the torch that somebody before me left, because maybe I didn't want to run with that torch. But if I could
Right.
show the youth behind me that there's something different to do, then I'm good. Then everything that I went through, everything that I grew to, prepares me for this legacy that I'm leaving for them. But see, that's just me. I think if we tie social media into it, you see the highlight reel, but that's not just from an entrepreneurial perspective. Me walking in two lanes, you see that with people who have careers. If you know, in government, everybody like to brag about being a GS 13 through 15. Okay, that's before taxes, and that's really, really cute. But what does it look like after taxes? Does this income lend you the money that you need? And the same thing with business, because you know, we may see Sam Walton now, but we don't know who he was and what legacy he was trying to build when he had times of downfall and despair. You know, like, and people don't like to post that because what have we been taught? Black
Right.
and white. We've been
Yeah.
taught, you keep your business to yourself. Now, when you get two people that work a good middle class job and you move out to the suburbs, then you can invite all of your family and friends and celebrate who you are. But we're not celebrate, or we're not talking about that when we're trying to figure it out. So I would submit to people to erase all of that. Like, if you want to own a business, if you want to move up the corporate chain, then put that information out there, because you don't know who could be in your path to help you build that legacy that you want to build.
Oh man, I think that's beautiful. That's amazing. I definitely agree. I tend to tell people all the time that, you know, I love how you made the statement about working that job and pursuing that entrepreneurship, you know,
Yeah.
area of your life. And I think that's important. One of the things that I believe is, I tell people, change your perception of it, like how you perceive it, because you can look at it like you work for them, or you can look at it as if they work for you. And if you look at it from they work for you, they need you, because technically they do, right? Then
Mhm.
you'll say, I want to get everything that I have. Because if you work for someone and you're trying to build a legacy and you want to go into the entrepreneurship arena, or you are in the entrepreneurship arena but still work for someone,
Mhm.
then learn but think as an entrepreneur while you're there. Like, look
Yeah.
at their HR, look at their employees, look at the systems that they have in place. Because I always tell people, it don't matter what industry you're in, business has a system, and that system is the same. It doesn't matter what the business is, the system in business is the same. So pay attention to those things. Pay attention to how they hire. Pay attention to how they handle a situation where somebody don't show up at work. Because as an entrepreneur, you don't want to just stay small. You don't want to be a mom and pop shop. You want to go to the biggest capacity in which you could go. And when you are building a legacy, I love how you say it's not necessarily me building this business so my children can take over the same business. I believe legacy deals with the mind.
Yeah.
The mind. Because when I
Yeah.
think about our ancestors and just, the great things that they did, I'm not trying to do what they did. But when I look at it and I research and I study the history of it, what I believe is, what I believe is, okay, prime example. I interviewed a lady last week, by
Mm-hmm.
the name of Helen. She was born in the 40s, right? And so she was talking about, today, we celebrate Martin Luther King, right? We celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. And she was talking about how she remembered um, when he got killed.
Mm-hmm.
And she talked about how during that time, she was just talking about the different things, right? And she's a successful entrepreneur. She's a legend in Albany, right? But I'm listening to her story. I'm listening to this. Now, I'm not trying to go through the same struggles you went through, but one of the things that I'm realizing as I'm learning about your history, learning about the things that you did is you are telling me everything I need to know to never give up. You are
Yeah.
telling me everything I need to know to persevere. You are telling me everything I need to know to hold on to faith. And so I believe that when you're building a legacy, it's not about forcing your child to go in your industry, but dealing with the mind, giving your child a stable mindset to say,
Mhm.
whatever I desire it to be, my mom, my dad instilled in me that it can be done, that I can do it. If I hold on to God's word, if I hold on to faith, if I put in the work, it can be done. What arena you go in, that's up to you. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of times, sometimes when we hear legacy, we are thinking, I started this business, so my children gonna take it over, you know? But
Yeah.
legacy is bigger than that.
Yeah, it's so much bigger than that. And if my mom's watching, I just gotta shout her out because one thing that she did, she was strict with my brother and I, but she let us be who we wanted to be. She let us have a voice. And when I say let, that's a big deal because I see control. I have three kids and I just have to sit back and realize they're all different now. Lucky for me, I have a daughter who wants to be a businesswoman. So I have to remember everything that I'm doing so that if she asks me for guidance, I can help her. Now, what does a businesswoman look like? So many different things. She could own a hospital. She can own a chain of movie theaters. I
I
have no
love it,
interest.
girl.
I mean, right? But I have no interest in either. But I am a businesswoman, and so that's broad. But when you're creating legacy, you need to create stepping stones so that you can help the people behind you get to where they want to be. And legacy building isn't always family either. When people build teams and they build businesses, they teach people to go out. Like when my husband worked for a local construction company here, the gentleman that owned the construction company, my husband's not his son, nephew, neighbor, or nothing, but he poured into him and he knew that my husband would go off on his own. And when he did, his first 3 to 5 years of contracts were given to him, by this gentleman. That's legacy building. That's building community, that's building employment opportunities, and that's showing another black man, a young man that's not your son or grandson, that, sir, you can do it too. And you don't have to go through the things that I went through. And like the man on my shirt, this is the president and founder of my university. He was a slave. He built legacy. If it wasn't for him, I would not be a graduate of Alabama A&M University. Do I want to own an institution? No, but I'm proud of that legacy that he left so that I can go on and tell Tamara, you got kids, they should look at this HBCU. You start here, you go anywhere. There's so many of us doing great things because this man had a dream and it wasn't for all of us to be slaves like he was. I mean, the bell that he was sold is still on our campus grounds. And so when you look at that, you see how big legacy is and you see how dreams can really come true. When you sit there and we watch slave movies because we didn't live it, our grandparents weren't slaves, maybe our greats weren't. But when you watch these movies, you sit back and you think of the mindset of just those few that we hear about and maybe thousands that we don't even hear about. But it's so many millions that did not have that mindset, did not want to be free, did not understand the
Right.
point behind being free. But then you had that. And then when you couple all of that together, you sit here and you're like, there was a slave thinking about not only building a school, like a little church house, storefront, this slave thought about building a whole institution that would educate people from all walks of life so that they can build those legacies they want to build. It does start with mindset to go back to where you were. I just want to submit to people when it comes to mindset, like for those of us who are in business, don't be so hard on the person who wants to work a job. Somebody has to wait your table, and it's not me being cocky, it's the truth. Somebody has
Yes.
to cook your food. Somebody has to measure the amount of electricity you use in your home so they can see your electricity bill. So for those reasons, I think that everybody should walk upright within whatever area they're in. And if building that legacy is to be the best darn sanitation worker that you can be, so you can show your kids not to become sanitation workers if they don't have interest, but to be great at what they do. And then if you don't have the entrepreneurial mindset like myself and Tamira, you can still watch the organization and how it runs and how it's managed, because you may decide that I want to go from sanitation to human resources to C suite.
Yeah.
And that takes time and conversation. And so it's just kind of trying to be as definite as you can about things. And even if you can't, it goes back to what I said in the beginning. You pray and you ask God for mental clarity so you can figure, not even you figuring out, because it's already figured out. God knew who you were before you were formed in your mother's womb. That's what the word says, is nothing that I made up. And so if that is the case, like, word also tells you to come boldly before the throne. So if that's the case, God, I'm confused. God, this career ain't working for me. God, I don't even know if I want to be an entrepreneur. I might just want to be a consultant. I don't want to worry about insurances and paying people and him walking his pet snake and her husband not acting right. Who am I supposed to be? Please speak to my heart, Holy Spirit, and then you'll start seeing things downloading to you. And you can go ahead and build that legacy from there, because you still have a story to tell. Like the lady that you interviewed and spoke to, you realized you didn't want to go through what she went through, but if she hadn't have gone through those things and she hadn't have taken those stepping stones, you would not have had the conversation with her to consider
Right.
interviewing her.
Yet, wow. Oh man, it's so much with legacy that I'm in awe right now,
Yeah.
because I love how you keep bringing up our children, our children, our children, our children. They are our tomorrow. They
Hmm.
are our tomorrow. And for me, one of the things I focus on is transforming the lives of those raising tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
remember when I was interviewing her. See, my granddad died before I was born, so I never met him, right? And so
Oh,
she actually ended up bringing him up, and she talked about how he was actually the first police officer in Albany, black police
black.
officer. Yeah, black police officer in Albany. And when she said that, it was like, I don't know. It was like something just hit me upside my head of
Mhm.
really understanding myself. Okay. Because with legacy, we have to understand that it is a seed sowing game.
Yes.
We are sowing seeds. That is what we're doing. Everything we do is a seed and we are sowing. We are planting seeds. That's what we're doing. And with me being married and my husband owns a funeral home, and something that he always says is our children are going to run the funeral home. Well, I will come back and say, yes, if they want to.
Mhm.
If they want to. Of course, he's like, no, there is no option. There is no option. They're gonna do it. And I'll say, if they want to. And
Yeah.
I'll tell him the last thing we're gonna do is force them to do something they don't want to do. And now they are breathing, but they don't have life.
Oh,
They're
that's
breathing, but they don't
right.
have life. And we have
Right.
to be very, very, very careful of that as legend builders.
Yes.
We have to be careful because we will sit there and expect, whether it's our children, whether it's people we mentor, we are going to expect more from them based off what we want and not pay attention to what they want. We, whew,
Yeah. Our story is similar to that. So my husband, his father has a construction company as well. And I get your husband and I get my father-in-law, because it's like I'm building this for you. And that's cute. You're building it for yourself. That's what you wanted to do. But I understand you feeling like my sons, my daughters, whoever, they don't have to work for other people. I've created this legacy so that they could build. Well, we started our own construction company, and my point in saying that is, if you build it, they will come. So
yeah,
your children may not want to they may own and manage, the funeral home, and they may have a director and office manager and all of those things, and they go out and do something totally different. You know what I mean? They may become a coroner. Somebody may decide that they want to do the makeup or whatever for the deceased, and it's similar to what their father did because of that legacy that he built. But you shouldn't make them come back, because with that, with my husband, he probably was going to go back, but here comes a wife. And so now you've got another life that you've got to consider. And I wasn't raised for you to make me do anything. If it was my mother's decision, I would still be working a job now. And that's cute, mama. God bless you. I worked enough to make sure I get retirement, but I ain't doing that no more.
Right.
The point is the kids have to be able to have their own identity and figure out who they need to be. Now that my husband has the construction company, when I see him and his father work on projects together, it is like so beautiful to me. In the beginning, it wasn't, because he wanted the legacy to continue with Jason running his operation. And I'm like, no, because he'll determine how much money we make. We can run our own operation. You guys can collaborate on projects, and we determine how much money we make. And what was crazy is my husband was like, I was so glad you said that. And so when we're telling our kids what they're going to do, they want to do it to honor us as parents, but then they want to do something else. And it's not for us to diminish their worth or their dreams. And
Right.
so in comes social media. When you went from creating reels just about your business to being in the car creating that reel of encouraging people to do whatever it is they were called to do, you go from maybe 1,000 views to 15,000 views. It hits different. So me, I deal in things. I don't do the most, but I do a lot. That's what Drake says. I picked that slogan up, and I'm not encouraging Tamira to do what I do. But what I am encouraging you is to get up and do something that makes you feel good. You know,
Right.
and so that's why I listen to personal development several times a day. That's why I have been ingrained in books. I'm listening to audiobooks, reading PDFs, reading the hard copies, because I love to see how dreamers think. Dreamers are legacy builders anyway, especially the ones who put action behind it. And if they're telling you that, you telling your mom, it's a story of Steve Harvey talking in my stories today that I put in. And he's like, you're telling your mom that you're going to be a millionaire, and mom says, girl, shut up. Just go there, go sit down. You need a job. And you start believing, well, what if mom is right? Steve says, God didn't put that dream in your mom's heart. God gave that dream to you. So you're supposed to go on with it. And so when people are talking about legacy building, if you notice, they're not just talking about me, and what I did. They're pouring into others and telling them what you can do despite what other people say, despite if it's an economic downturn or not. If this dream is in you, no matter what it is, if you dream to be CEO of a Fortune 500 company, call me. I'll make sure your resume sparkles and shine. But if you dream to be CEO of the newest Fortune 500 company that you created, call me. I'll make sure your business plan sparkles and shines. It needs to be either way. I think that those who build legacies, if they needed to speak to somebody and kind of talk them through, they've been blessed to have people who listen to what they have to say, opposed to those who shoot them down. And even for those who shoot them down, thank God that they kept going. So that's my thing
Yeah.
for whoever's listening to the live or who listens to the replay. Whatever you do, keep going in that. If your
Yes.
thought is to build a legacy, and if you don't have kids, still build that legacy, because there's literally somebody that's attached to you who wants to believe that they can do everything that they were called to be. They want to uncover things that they didn't know that they were called to be. You know what I mean? And so it is your duty as somebody who works, as somebody who works a business, to share that good news with people. You don't have to tell me all of your business. I don't need to know that your check was $25,000 in 2 days, unless you're attached to me in some networking thing or some type of consultancy. But I need to know that you tried and that you landed. And sometimes it's good to sprinkle in those fails too, because when it comes to legacy and if you want to attach it to money, you cannot make a million without a few L's.
Yeah, definitely. That I don't even think people, Lord, we have to know what we're getting ourselves into. That's something that we have to know. I tend to tell people this is from experience. I'll say it. I say it all the time. When I played college basketball, it didn't matter how good of a team we were. We
Hmm.
couldn't step foot on that court and play a game without a coach. It required a coach.
Yeah.
And for you to say, you can't get to a million without several L's, I truly believe that you can't get to a million without the right people in your ear. You
Hmm.
can't get to a million without the right people literally pouring into your mindset. Even that child that was born into it, they still, their mindset has to be at a place. Their parents has to constantly pour into them, or whoever is around them, in order for them to keep that million in their hands. And a lot of people that hit the millionaire mark, they'll tell you they lost it. They lost it because they didn't know what they were doing, right? And then they learned, and then they regained it, and they tell you they'll never lose it again, right? They'll never lose it again.
It's something for the working class too. It's
Yeah.
the same thing when it comes to salaries. Like I tell people all the time, if I'm charging $500 for a resume package, don't let $500 keep you from $100,000 job. Meaning you still need the right people in your ear, career driven people. If you want to go from $24,000 a year, which is $11.43 an hour, to $100,000, then you may need to listen to and or make yourself um, acquainted with those people who have gone from those areas. Every time I leveled up in a job, I literally leveled up. I realized that I can do what this job description says in this one. And if this one is going to pay me more and I do less, then it makes sense. I want those who are listening from a business perspective, career perspective, or neither to understand that it doesn't matter what your dream is, what your thought for legacy is, that's yours. So don't listen
Mhm.
to the peanut gallery who makes you feel like, here you go talking about $1 million. You can't be content with 50. No, I cannot be content with 50. Perhaps you can. And that is okay. You know what I mean? No, I cannot be content making $11 an hour with a degree. If you can, God bless you. I pray that God stretches that 11 like two fish and five loaves of bread and you get everything that you need. But in the legacy that I'm building, that Shamika Menacee is leaving, it does not include that, and it is okay. I think a lot of reasons why people are confused or just don't even want to go after building a legacy is because they're worried about the people to the left and the right. And
Oh yeah.
we canceling that. It's
Yeah.
2023. We're canceling it.
Yeah, we have to. We
Yeah.
definitely have to, and take the limits off. We serve a big God. We serve
Yeah.
a humongous God, and
Yeah.
so I always tell people, let the giant in you raise up. Let the giant in you come forth, so that you
Yeah.
can have the abundance that God actually desires for you to have. He
Yeah.
desires for you to have an abundant life. You just got to walk in it and take those limitations, those chains off your feet, take them off of your mindset. Because I know some people may have said some things to you, and may have said that you don't qualify, but you do
Yeah.
qualify. And I'm like that you said that about you got a degree and you're okay making $11. No, no, I'm not okay. I'm not okay at all.
Especially if that degree wasn't free and you have to pay student loans and you sitting here praying and hoping that Biden or the administration before or after him cancels it, sir,
Yeah.
ma'am, you got
Mm-mm.
those student loans knowing that you would have to pay them back and that you would need to work some type of sustainable job. And I submit to you that there are plenty of sustainable jobs. So get rid of that idea that I'm just gonna work this job. I don't need much money to survive. That's great. But the cost of college for you is going to be different for your seeds. And if you have the ability to be able to help them, why wouldn't, if you're making 70, why wouldn't you double that? I mean, you
Yeah.
got the 10X book behind you, which is what I'm listening to on audio right now. Grant Cardone don't know neither one of us from a can of paint, but he's like, whatever you do, 10X it.
Yeah.
We
10X all
do the best
day.
at whatever you want to do. Like when I was in school, and I remember in third grade, I had to have a 100. So 10X meant that I was studying. I had my mom and dad and my brother. What's the word? I need to spell it. I'm winning spelling bees. I'm passing tests 10 minutes before everybody else because I was worried about what Shamika needed to do. Not
Right.
that I do enough and get a 70. Now, let's be clear. When I got to college, listen, it was 70 was enough and I had my credits. Shamika was taken at 70. So my point is, things happen along the way, but you don't give up on what your legacy is and what your dream is. Grant's
Right.
telling you 10x it. Well, Jesus was so cool. I mean, he was sitting back like in my father's house. There are many matches. I believe that God was like chilling. Jesus was chilling like, if it wasn't so, I wouldn't have told you. Like, I'm not gonna convince you of what that thus saith the Lord. So I don't know what may have happened in people's life that they lose the ability to dream or believe that they can be whoever they want to believe be. Like, you notice how when somebody is super confident, we say that that's arrogance. Tell me
Yes.
somebody who led a legacy who didn't have a little bit of both in them. I mean, it's MLK Day today. He was gunned down for marching for sanitation workers, but he 10x that thing. We not just gonna be black and sit back and say, "Oh yes, sir, massa." No, sir, it's okay. Y'all got these good jobs as sanitation workers. No, we shall overcome. We gonna march in these streets. We gonna do what we need to do. The people gonna hear us. We're still gonna be humble. We are not trying to fight anybody. We're gonna be nonviolent, but I'm confident that we shall overcome. And if it wasn't for his confidence, our little black selves wouldn't be reading to next room. I tell you that.
Oh yeah.
We, we wouldn't believe that we could overcome whatever the situation was. We wouldn't believe that we could create legacies. We wouldn't believe that we had value as entrepreneurs to go out and pour into other people. We would just sit back and be average, and that is dead. Average is not okay
It's
because you can
not.
be the best at whatever you do. That's my thing. Like, if people are new to my page, if you go through it, I keep it 100. I've got two kids who have sickle cell anemia. Okay, it don't have them. What we doing? We playing baseball. We playing
Woo, come on, girl.
my daughter is in a parade right now. God has been good to her. It would have, like, if I was afraid and not let her become who she needs to be. No, you're not gonna dance in this parade. It's too cold. It's too hot. I'm worried. Girl, go be the best that you can be. And if we have some challenges, we'll get over it. Now, what's next? You know
Wow.
what? That comes from
Girl.
your grandfather being the first. That takes courage. A black man with a gun is still feared in 2023. And that was what, the 30s, 40s, 50s? And he was like,
Wow.
I'm going to be the first police officer. I'm going to leave a legacy. And that may not have been for you, Tamira, because you're not a police officer, but that's for every other black police officer around the world.
Right.
Because he knew that he was the first, but he didn't have to be the last. And so, in building his legacy, all it took was one step. And here it is. How old? You don't have to tell your age on social media, but however old you are, that lady spoke to you the other day about your grandfather who you didn't get the chance to meet in the flesh, and how great he was. And you heard these stories, but to listen to somebody who's not a part of your family tell the story, I know that gave you a sense of pride from a legacy perspective, and that's what it's about. I
Yeah.
also think too, like, people who don't want to build a legacy, who don't want to showcase their legacy, talk about it. Haters are a figment of your imagination. If you were laser focused on what it is you were doing, you wouldn't even know about a hater.
You
Just
want.
like you imagine being the first police officer, just like you could imagine potentially hiring some lady that was born in the 40s, that has nothing to do with, oh, well, no, maybe I shouldn't hire her. She was born in the 40s. Oh, no, maybe I should become a police officer. I'm black. They might shame me up. No, I'm going to try this and see what's good. That's what it's about. Legacy builders have failed 50 billion trillion times, but they keep trying to see if
Yes.
they can do something so that they can let us. And some of them don't even think about letting other people know. But like, when you're building legacy, your light shine, and so it's a domino effect. As your light shines, other people know. We
Oh
don't know
yeah.
where the sun rises from, but we see it all over the world. You know what?
Right.
Other people know.
Yeah. I mean, I love the fact that you said that because we have to stop being ashamed of the gifts that God has given us. We have to stop being ashamed to blossom. The Lord wants us to blossom. And I think sometimes we that say that we're humble, we
Hmm.
are mistaking humility for something that it's not, okay? So
Yeah.
we're saying we're humble. So because I'm humble, I'm not supposed to be confident. No, 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 no. Just because you're humble, you can still be confident because
Yeah.
we can't be ashamed of what we're good at, what we're great at, who we are. You can't be ashamed. And I love how you said, if you're focused, you ain't gonna see the haters. That is so true. You're not gonna see it. Stay focused. Tunnel vision. Stay Focus. The people that's supposed to come to you, they're gonna come to you. Do you. Do the best version of you. Become the best version of you if you haven't reached that mark. Do what you have to do. That is so important. I love how you brought up your children. I have a 4-year old who, they're trying to say he's autistic, he's on the spectrum. I say, you can say he's on the spectrum, but I cannot, I will not let y'all just say that he's autistic. My son
Yeah.
is a genius. Yes, he does not socialize with everybody. I don't socialize with everybody. So, I mean, if you're going to put him in that category, you got to put me in that category. But see, I had a mom. They tried to diagnose me. They tried to put me in the category, but my mom said, no, just change the teacher. It's the teacher, it ain't her. It's a
Right.
teacher. And so when they got me out of the class, right, they saw the difference. And my mom said she had to stand on it. They wanted to put medicine, give me medicine. She said no. And I am the person I am today. And so when I look at my son, he's in karate. He does, I be throwing him in all kind of stuff. And guess what? I'm like, we're going to defeat this because the Lord said that we have power. We have authority. We can speak things into the atmosphere. We can write those visions down. And that's what we're going to do. And we're going to keep going. And we're going to keep going. And we're going to keep going because as long as I and your dad do not give up on you, we are teaching you how to fight. We are teaching you how to believe. We are teaching you how to have faith and do not be conformed to this world.
Come
Because
on.
man will tell us we are incapable. Man will tell us we don't qualify. Man will tell us there's no way possible you're the one for the job. But my God says, if I believe and I receive it, it's mine. It's mine.
Period.
And we have to teach our children this because the world is changing. We have to teach our children to stand for something. And the thing that they stand for is greatness. The thing that they stand for is faith. The thing that they stand for is God. We have to teach this to our children because the world is cruel. We know that. We know the
Mhm.
world can be cruel. We know people can say some cruel things. But at the end of the day, if we, the people, I always tell people, your children look up to you more than you think.
Yeah.
They look up to you more than you think. I'm a child. I have a parent, right? And
Yeah.
to this day, I still, before I make certain decisions, I pick up the phone and call my mom. Why? Because I look at my mom as wise counsel. Do all of my
Mhm.
siblings do that? No. No, they don't all do that. But I do that. So whatever she did, it made sense, It
Mhm.
made sense. And we have to really begin to understand that all of our children may not get it.
Yeah.
But somebody gonna catch it.
Yeah.
Somebody is going to catch it. And that's why we have to do it.
I gotta interrupt you. All of our children will get it.
Yeah.
It's like we'll sit here and we'll quote the Bible and we'll know what God said and we'll see His wonders and works, but then we may not get it. Yes, we will. It may not be as quick as Tamira did it,
Yeah.
but it may be. And then just like it's like we don't want to believe the labels that God put on us, which are infinite, right? But we want to believe, oh, give her medicine, she's hyper. No, you just here for a check, Miss Teacher, ma'am.
Mm.
She may be hyper because this third grade work don't submit to her the way that the fifth grade work does. And so since you are leading this organization of future leaders, these 35 kids in your class, I know that resources are scarce and all of these things, but you will call to that job or you apply to it or whatever the situation may be, then what can you pour into her? Because she shouldn't be have to move to another class. And then even if she does have some autism, every person on this planet is different. I
Every.
joke with your friend all the time and I tell her she's on the spectrum. We're opposite, but we're so much alike. I will kiki with you all over Facebook, show stuff. She ain't doing nothing. She liking and she might comment, she might not. And that's okay. It's because she's not letting everybody in her space. And I joke with her that she's on the spectrum, but you know what? The spectrum is a cool place to be because it goes from A to Z.
It
And
does.
we're all on it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing about my nephew. He is the most smart, most handsome, most charismatic, most respectful young man I'll ever meet. So I don't even believe that we don't talk about it. He gonna be treated and talked to just like everybody else. And it's the same with my children who have a blood disorder. Sure, you and I probably could run outside all day in 100-degree temperature. They may have to take a break. It doesn't mean that they're not special. It means that they know who they are, like your mother knew who you were. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Move her to a different class. That was taking a break from that teacher. This ain't working for my baby. This is what we're gonna do. So we have to bask in who we are, and it's okay. And I've had to learn that too. It's okay if I don't have on a blazer like Tamira, I still have something to offer. It's okay if
Mhm.
I don't have on a t-shirt like Shamika. I still have something to offer. I think that we put ourselves on spectrums. We put limitations on ourselves. We talk about these haters and submit to them because we're busy looking everywhere else. Your baby's
Come
not a
on.
robot, so he does not have to operate at the level that Tamira or Shamika operates at. Because his level could be higher. You just said he's brilliant. So does that make him less than because he
Right.
understands concepts quicker than we do? That is
Right.
hogwash. But it's like we submit to this. I can't do this. This isn't gonna work for me. I've always lived in lack. Well, you know what? You right. If you believe you can't, you can. If you because take it back to Jesus. Why did they kill him? Because he said he was the son of the Most High God, but he believed that and he ascended because he knew who he was and whose he was.
Yes. Come on.
And whatever we're in, like as we bring this to an end, we're talking about legacy. Believe in your legacy and who you are. And if you don't understand what that is, then figure it out. And I don't care if it takes you 2 minutes to figure it out or 20 minutes to figure it out, but you owe it to yourself to understand who you are, why you're here, what legacy you want to leave. And we're going to talk about kids and husbands because that's a part of us and that's what we have. But it's the same thing for those of you who aren't married or those of you who don't have kids. There should be something that wakes you up in the morning outside of God and your alarm clock that makes you want to be better. And if that something is just you, do it for you.
Yeah.
You have no business looking all cute, putting your makeup on, getting your hair cut, getting your beard trimmed, and you are just as confused and you don't know what type of legacy you want to build. You don't know if you want to be a part of something or start a movement. And then those who want to start movements do it. Don't worry about if somebody else did it. Like imagine if Popeyes did become Popeyes because there was KFC. And then
Right.
like, the
Come
mom and
on.
pop fried chicken, like your chicken hit different. It's not like somebody can copy you, but the paste won't be the same. So
Right.
don't be afraid to go out and be who you're supposed to be.
I love
Like
it.
that I took from my husband, of course, like he's run our construction company for 17 years. The last 2 years, I've been real heavy in it, more than just picking up his checks and doing the invoices. Like what I like about him, and he doesn't have a big social media footprint like me, but he is sure in who he is, and he's confident in who he is, and he knows that when you get the concrete, it's gonna be presidential because he, who I joke about being on the spectrum too, who is not, he is meticulous about his art and he will not leave your residence or your commercial property until he knows that is right. Now, some of us, when you mention that laziness you don't like, I would probably be the person like, girl, Tamara, let's go. The concrete is down. We're good. Jason's like, nope, it needs to be broomed again. But he's perfecting his craft because he wants to leave that legacy behind.
Right.
So I
Awesome.
hope somebody took something from this from us because I mean we could talk about this all day.
Yeah, this was good. This was good. So if you could just tell them before we end today, just how to reach you, contact you, what if they need your help, what services can you provide them?
Sure. So all of my socials, I'm only pretty much primarily I'm on